Joining us on the line is security analyst Dr. Chester Cabalza, president and founder of International Development and Security Cooperation. Good morning, sir, and welcome to Morning Matters.
Good morning, Daniela. Thank you for having me.
Sir, what a difficult time to be looking at. Let's discuss first the main breaking news here, which is the U.S. Senate actually saying go ahead to President Donald Trump with this war. Does that have any bearing really? And you've also got quite a split between the allies of the U.S., specifically in the EU. Spain saying no, France, the UK, Germany backing this. What's going on here, and how is this shaping the current landscape?
Okay, let's look first at the domestic politics in the United States. The mere fact that there is now the upper hand coming from the Congress and the Senate, that means that they approve the action of President Donald Trump, and he has the majority of support coming from legislators. That means that this is very important in its action to purge the clerical regime of Iran, and at the same time to strengthen the economy of the United States, because what they're fighting right now is the reserve oil and the distribution of petroleum, which is we all know that Iran has a major role in the region of Middle East. Now, the second question on the non-support of allied forces, I mean to say those who are friends of the United States, I think they still have some remnants of issues in terms of how Trump has been dealing with Europe. Many of these European countries think that they are now in certain dilemma on how they would engage with the United States, given that, of course, Washington is trying to divorce from Europe and would focus their attention to the Middle East and into Pacific. We all know that Trump is, of course, trying to disengage with Europe, particularly on the Russia-Ukraine war, and they want and Washington wants to have European powers to become more accountable to their own regional security in Europe. So I think that's where they're coming from right now, and that shows the protectionist role of the United States when it comes to their national interest and as their role as a superpower now. They are no longer the police of the world. They want to protect their own domestic interests. And regardless if Europe will support them, I think the U.S. remains the military superpower in the world, and I think that is something that they're trying to show to the world that they are still leading compared to Russia and China, who are trying to challenge them.
Okay, with these new developments, Doc, is this war more likely to be contained? Because some analysts have said that, initially, at least 2 days ago even, that the U.S. will probably not put ground boots, or boots on the ground, rather. There will be no ground invasion of Iran. But then Trump has said that's actually a possibility here. So far, no nuclear weapons have been used. Diplomacy is still being touted. You even have a UN envoy from Iran actually calling for that. So tell us, what is the more likely scenario at this moment? Is it going to be contained to these 4 weeks in the Middle East? There will be no ground invasion of Iran. The bigger powers, China, Russia, will step back? Or is there going to be a bigger escalation, you think?
Very comprehensive view, Dor. Definitely what we are seeing right now are more of air strikes and blockades in the Strait of Hormuz. So you're right in saying that there are no ground forces as of the moment, because the Persian Iranian militaries are highly trained for ground guerrilla warfare. They have elite soldiers for that. But nonetheless, the strength of the U.S. would be the air and the naval powers in deploying their ultra modern technology when it comes to that. But if you would also see it, most of what we are seeing are airstrikes. So most likely they're using drones. Persia is using drone strikes, whereas the U.S. Are sending their missile strikes. So this is you're right in saying that it's going to be a competition of air and naval power more than the ground troops, because of course um, the U.S. is also balancing its act when it comes to um, uh, entering Iran, because as I explained earlier, Iran is a powerful regional actor in the region. They have a core military system, which I think the people and their government are still supporting. So it is wise for Washington and its neighboring allies from the Middle East to just focus on the airstrikes and, of course, intimidate the enemy using their naval power. So I think those are the things that we will be seeing right now. As to the question of how long will it take, Donald Trump announced earlier that this will take for at least a month to do, but we'll see what happens. Sometimes, depending on the escalation of the situation and the narrative that we are hearing from both sides. But yeah, a month is fair enough. So we should be prepared for all price hike and some eventualities, and we have to protect our overseas Filipino workers.
Yeah, of course. I just wanted to get your thoughts very quickly on the goals of Israel now. You mentioned the U.S. already has their military agenda here in the nuclear war, and also needing allies for the West. But Israel-Iran relations is a much trickier thing to be looking at. Just very quickly for our audience here, but before the revolution, they were actually allies. And then it's really an existential question of the existence of Israel from an ideological perspective of this theocratic regime, which actually wants to obliterate the entire state of Israel from a
Right.
conceptual and physical, they've threatened genocide even. So how is this going to end between Iran and Israel, which have had hostilities? It's only now that there's face-to-face combat war. But what is the end game here? Because this is two countries that don't want each other to exist.
You're right, but you're right in saying that, of course, prior to 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran, both Tel Aviv and Iran are friends, and because of the support of the Americans. So the main actor in that regional architecture was really the United States, which up to now we are seeing some actions coming from Washington. But I think the insecurity happened after Israel saw that Iran is gaining more defense posture in the Middle East. It's becoming bigger in terms of its nuclear power arsenals, and at the same time, its regional influence. It's getting bigger, and of course, its alliance with China and Russia. And that's the point that, of course, you also see some geopolitical shenanigans in that area. That's the reason why we saw the alliance of Israel and the U.S. And one thing, of course, would be the religious difference. We know that Israel are composed of Jews, whereas Iran are Shiite Muslims. So they have different ideology, and you're right also in the form of government. Iran is more of a theocratic country. They are ruled by the Ayatollahs, and whereas, of course, it's a different government in Israel, where they are ruled by their prime minister. So, what would be the end goal here? Of course, we don't want to coexist because of the conflict and war that we are seeing right now. But ultimately, there should be a redeeming factor on the role of diplomacy because that's the only way that they could survive. Although we know for a fact that Middle East is prone to such vulnerabilities of man-made disasters to wars, but
Right.
we also saw success stories on their peace
Okay.
deals. And we are hoping that, of course, whoever wins in this conflict right now, and we are seeing that China and Russia are quite silent as of the moment, as the U.S. is becoming more boisterous in terms of military flexing. And the U.S. needs this because, of course, they need to boost their midterm election results. And also, Israel needs this victory because of the recent squabble also with Iran. Remember, there was a time that in the recent years we saw the Israel-Hamas war, and
Yes.
Iran also intervened during that
Is backing
process.
that.
So this is also a retaliation. The culture in the Middle East, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So you see this vengeful, retaliatory mechanism as part of their political culture. But of course, we are not closing the doors of diplomacy, of peace deals, and the only way to achieve this is, of course, one has to be weakened. So they are using the hard power, the military power, to at least get the result. The end justifies the means, in other words. So we'll see whoever becomes victorious in this conflict, and one will have to bend on the favor of the victorious. So we'll see what happens in the coming days. But as of now, we are seeing that, of course, based on the military arsenal, U.S. and Israel are winning. And in terms of the combat, we see also the U.S. and Israel are on the peak of their power. They were able to succeed to erase and defeat and kill the supreme leader of Iran. Definitely, in a change of government, it will take time also to strengthen their capability. But although, of course, let's not underestimate also Iran in terms of their preparations, because they have contingency measures as to the death of their supreme leader. But of course, what I'm seeing right now, so far, the U.S. and Israel and its allies in the region, I think Saudi Arabia and then some of the countries in the region that have military bases are supporting the military actions of Washington.
Okay, well, we are obviously watching this very closely. Thank you so much for your insights and time today. That was Dr. Chester Cabalza, President and Founder of International Development and Security Cooperation. Good morning, sir.
Thank you.